This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Jeff Gardner.
Welcome to another episode of the Good Neighbor Podcast. Today we have another good neighbor on, Lina, Monaco of Graze North Charcuterie. Lina, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, I am too, especially after that networking event we just put together a couple of weeks ago, and I saw your artistry in the flesh. It was ridiculous. I don't even think anybody cared about the networking side of it. They only remember your charcuterie board. So I don't want to spoil too much, as I've now have had the pleasure of indulging in your artistry. Let's tell everybody about it. What is it you do, Lina?
So thank you for having me on, Jeff. I really, truly appreciate it. And my business is Graze North Charcuterie. And I create beautiful and delicious charcuterie boxes. My main specialty is grazing tables, and that is where my passion really comes through, and I get to play with food and have my design aspect really come into play. And it gives people a great sense of, playing with palettes and different flavors. And it really just is a fun time.
So what is a grazing table? So I know better.
So grazing table, it is charcuterie. So bottom line, it is cured meats and cheeses. And so the grazing table aspect of my business really is exactly what you would think. It is a table that's meant for guests or, whoever's invited to the party to sit and eat and chit chat and share community and graze. It's not a sit down meal where it's very formal. It's very much casual. It's casual. It's fun. It's meant to have conversation, good glass of wine in your hand, fantastic food on the table. And really it's comprised of, artisan cheeses, and cured meats displayed in a manner that's not only, delicious, but I mean, it's beautiful too. It's eye-catching and it's appealing. And in my own business, because I am a little bit extra, I love to add the extras, which is the antipasti and the fruits and the vegetables, and all those components are super important to me because it lets me add my own design touches to it.
Yeah. And again, now it's one thing to have somebody explain something to you. It's another thing to have them explain it and you have had experienced it. So I saw that. I love charcuterie. I mean, to hang around with the boys and girls, friends, let's say that.
Yep.
And to whatever, we're celebrating something. There's a sporting event going on. We're just hanging out. There could be no reason. But if we have the meats there, I love you had a little bit of hummus in there, some crackers, some breads. You had that fantastic bread there, Jesus. And then you just come and go to it as you please. There's just this nice kind of welcoming, tasty food that you can eat for, hours, little bits at a time. Yeah. Very easy to consume, easy to eat and speak to people and walk around your environment.
Yes.
So I love that. And I have done that many, many times at my place. And I've been to places where people hosted, and same thing, golf courses, special experiences. Never have I seen it displayed in the way that you did it. Where that, oh God, what was that? The hot, like, was it super soda?
Queso.
And the queso. Oh my God. But even the way you displayed it, like, what was it? Hot super soda? Was that the red one?
Yes.
Yeah, displayed like a blooming flower almost. It was wild. So that's another layer of stimulation to the people who are experiencing that. Not just great food, but as soon as people walked into that environment, the first thing they did was, rather than saying hi to the hosts, which is why they're there, let's take pictures of the food. That's what everybody was doing.
Yes.
I was shocked by how drawn they were to it. And I said to my co-host, I'm like, next time if Lina caters, we have to make sure she dials it down a little bit because this is our damn show. And everybody's focused on the food. No, it was so great. you really took it to another level. And, you know, I can say that with confidence because, as I said, I love charcuterie and I've had it many, many times. I like that style of eating. It's easy.
Yeah.
I love the smoked meats. It's super tasty. So anytime I can, sometimes just like a date night, go on a picnic and bring charcuterie, a little bottle of wine and a little blanket.
Yeah.
So I love it. I love what you do. It's fantastic, super tasty. And the art in it was something that really stood out to me.
Thank you.
So what I want to know is, I picked your brain a little bit at the event, but I didn't want to pick it too much because I wanted to learn firsthand here. What brought you to this, Lina? Like, first, I like to make this a two-part question, as I have the utmost respect for entrepreneurs. I think when, at the end of the day, if you build your own business, that means you had an idea that you've built in your mind, which is difficult in and of itself. But to take that idea and to build it in reality, we always build things twice, first in the mind, and then in reality, is much, much harder. And building it in such a way to impact other people, to have them have a very positive experience, is another layer of difficulty. So I think it's much harder to be an entrepreneur than it is to be an employee. Broad strokes, of course, there's some outliers, but I have the utmost respect for entrepreneurs that are carving their own path, that have found that there's a gap in the market that they can fill, make things better. I think that's in one way how we evolve as a species and continue to move forward, is new technologies, new experiences, new products that solve new problems.
Yes.
So that's my take on entrepreneurship. What made you decide I need to do this on my own? And then B, why this world? Why this world of charcuterie, of grazing tables, of food?
Well, in all honestly, this is part of my life. It's embedded in me. I am first generation Italo-Canadian, which means that I am the first child born to immigrant Italian parents. And so the sense of food and eating is a huge part of our culture. Like everything from growing the food to grocery shopping to the preparation to the serving of it, even, it's always been the centerpiece of the literal table. So I mean, and it was the place to share with our parents or with our siblings and whoever, our nonnas who were sitting at the table, to say, I had a great day, or I didn't have a great day. Can I talk to you about something? And just kind of share our day and, you know, learn about each other more and just bond and gather together. And so for, oh gosh, I can't, my dad has a video of me from when I was 3 years old, and he had sliced up on his slicer like prosciutto from like the actual leg, and he had put it on the table, and he had, maybe I did notice, but I didn't care. I was 3. He had the camcorders. Remember those big camcorders that like used to sit? Yeah. So he had one of those set up on a tripod, and it was recording my mom cooking. And I was in the kitchen with my mom. But here I am sneaking over to the table, stealing prosciutto because, you know, I was stealing prosciutto off the table. And little did I know, my dad had captured that all on video. And still to this day, he laughs about it, you know, and he's like, do you remember that time where you stole the prosciutto right off the table? And, you know, that's a great memory for me because I carry it with me, but it's also embedded in me. Whereas my parents would very frequently slice, you know, authentic salami and prosciutto, maybe even straight from Italy, from my nonna's suitcase, right? And the cheeses that they still bring over. And that was part of our everyday meal. That was our parent, you're hungry? Here, let me feed you a spuntino. Let me feed you an appetizer. This is what we're eating, you know? And so it's just, I'll call it a tradition, but it's not tradition. It's lifestyle that's just embedded in me. And so fast forward to quite a few years, is I'm an entertainer. I love having people over. I love having family and friends and just really getting together with people and having those deep, meaningful conversations and just connecting, right? And so me being me, I put on this lavish kind of like dinner, but I mean, it was meant to be picked at. And this is pre-pandemic, by the way. And a girlfriend had pulled me over to the side and she had said, can I ask you something? And I'm like, sure. I'm like, what is this? What is she going to say now? And she's like, tell me why you aren't doing this as a job. Tell me why you're not doing this like full time. And she left me speechless because never in my wildest dreams had I thought how I grew up eating or how my childhood had molded me would, reflect to like a possible job in the future. And so then we were hit with COVID. And so I kind of just mellowed in it and kind of like stewed and simmered. We were hit with COVID. I had littles at the time. They're older now, but
I had littles. Is that what you said?
Littles. So my girls were still little, during the pandemic, it was like almost 4 years ago now, and 3 years ago. And, but I was tired. And then I think it was about end of 2021 where I said to myself, okay, enough of this. I don't want to be homebound anymore. I feel like we're prisoners in our own house. Got to do something I had to do something for myself. I had to like break out of that mundane routine of being, I didn't want to just be mom anymore, especially because I've always dreamed about being a mom, but I had come from having my own business pre-children. So I was in, wedding and event floral design and decor, right? So I was always dealing with people and I did my own thing and I missed that. But I knew that I couldn't go back to that industry because it required a lot of time and dedication that I wasn't willing to sacrifice the time with my children. My children came first. My daughters, me wanting to be a mom and really being the best mom, that came first. So thinking about what my girlfriend had said, that light bulb went off. And I said to myself, this is it. This is it for you, like try. And it's been a whirlwind since, a fantastic ride. And I wouldn't change it for anything. Even the unfolding of the events, it took the beginning of the pandemic to let it sit and simmer for it to actually come to fruition, which is, good things come with patience, right?
So they say.
Yeah.
I love it. I love that it was just a part of your life.
Yeah.
For so long. We hear that from so many entrepreneurs that come on. It's like, how did you get into this? It's like, well, I was just born in this environment that it was around me all the time. Music was around me, or this type of business or that. In many cases, we are a product of our environment, which is very cool. What I want to know though, Lina, is, so it seems like food is almost like your love language, a way to connect with other people. What do you think it is about food? Obviously, it's sustenance. It's a necessity for life. We need it like air to breathe. But I mean, we go way beyond necessity, right? I mean, it doesn't need to taste good to give our body what it needs. We don't need to eat more of it. What do you think it is about food that brings people together? Is it just simply because it is a necessity of life, or is there more to it than that?
Well, I think it's funny that you actually used the term love language because, oh gosh, for years I've been saying food is my love language. I may not have the right piece of advice to give you. I may be stuck and not have the right words to tell you, but you bet that I will feed you and I will comfort you in a way that you didn't know you needed comforting. Okay. So that's me in a nutshell for sure. I may not always have the right words, but there is always food. Okay. And then I think food for us has really become an indulgence of things. It makes a lot of us happy because we're not just, there's people that eat to live and there's people that live to eat. Okay. So you can choose which one of those you are. And then, just food in itself is beautiful, right? Think about when you go to the grocery store and the way things are laid out for you, the produce section in particular, never mind stocking of shelves. But I mean, it's just a beautiful sight to see. Even when you visit like a garden, you're like, wow, this is where my food comes from. And I think that the ones that love to eat really have an appreciation of food in general, right? They don't just see it as the gasoline or the gas that or the energy that fuels our body. It's more the love of it, right? So some of us eat to be gluttons, okay, and I get it, right? That's easy to do sometimes, but I think that there's a real love behind food in general. That's the palate profiles and the pairings, and it really is like a release of endorphins when we get what we want, when something is delicious, right? So therefore that obsession with food, there it goes. That's how it starts, right?
Yeah, it really can be this pleasurable experience. And I'm glad I appreciate you painting that picture of, because that's what you just did in my head, looking at the produce section, all the different colors, the shapes. We're imagining what kind of plate we can put together for that, or how this thing will taste with that thing. And there really is this artistry behind food. I've said it many times that I eat to live. Yes. Fitness and all that. If I could just pop a pill and it would give me the exact calories, fats, proteins, and carbs, I would do that the majority of the time for just ease of access. My meals take a long time to eat. They're big. They don't taste very good. It's more to give my body what it needs. But on the weekends or when I go out to restaurants, special occasions, like I ate a ton of your stuff. So I certainly love the taste of food. I just know what my body feels like when I go too much into that
For sure.
pleasurable world. So I try to balance it, but I certainly wouldn't pop a pill for all meal. And because I don't enjoy food, I would do it for, Monday through Friday type of thing, or remove the odd dinner and put something in there. But there really is this great connector of people as well. Like I think of some of my most favorite experiences. There are my people there. We're often dressed up or completely casual at home. There's usually some wine, maybe some beer, and just this great display of food for us to connect over. Sometimes not even talking. That's often an indicator of the food being so great. Everybody's just focused on eating. It is really this very pleasurable experience. And you're right. It does elevate our minds and our bodies chemically to feel more happier in the moment. And then comes these great conversations. So it really is kind of this connector. It brings people together. Food, not only sustenance for life, but also extremely pleasurable, and maybe raises that level of happiness a fair bit with our other people.
Absolutely. You're right.
Yeah. I think it's great. And I love your story behind why doing it. You just had the skill. And so why aren't you doing this from your friend, and already knowing how to run your own business in the floral design world for weddings and other experiences. You already knew how to do it. So I imagine it wasn't an easy transition, but maybe easier than if you came from being an employee to an entrepreneur. Okay. Something that I am really curious about. So there's a couple of things that we really want to do on this show. What is the main points of it? To let people know that our businesses exist in the local community, that we care about the local community, who we are. We live there. We consume things there. It's a great connector of people as well, but also quality education. So information comes at us all day, every day. Like we do live in that era where we're just being, bombarded with information. And a lot of it is shitty. A lot of it is not good. Some of it is designed to be shitty, to direct your attention to something else. So we want to be a part of putting out quality information. So we ask about myths and misconceptions because people have information in their head right now that is suboptimal or maybe even false. And they're going to make decisions based on that lower quality information. If we can help them get a higher quality of information, then they can make better decisions and maybe even change behavior, and maybe it changed a life. Who knows? But we want to be a part of that. So when it comes to your business in particular, are there any myths, misconceptions out there that you could clarify for us?
Oh, for sure. Two right off the top of my head. I think you land in two categories. So I think people think one of two things. First of all, charcuterie, it's too swanky. It's for the wealthy. They think of these posh, lavish parties when in reality, it's for everyone, every taste bud, every, price point. Do you want a lavish party with like all the fancy stuff? I got you. But also, do you want something casual and kind of low key? I can do that for you too, right? So, and it's affordable and it doesn't cost an arm and a leg, and it wouldn't cost you more than what it would cost for you to go out for dinner to, a chain restaurant. Even McDonald's is crazy, right? So, I mean, people have this, I guess, notion that like it's out of my budget, or it's, it's for the swanky, or it's for the wealthy. Or number two, they're thinking it's Ritz crackers and summer sausage. Now, I'm not knocking any of that, okay? I love both of those things, but charcuterie is different. The way I do charcuterie, it's different. Are there people that add Ritz crackers? I'm sure there are, okay? But for my type of business, for Graze North, I like that bit of elevated, and sophistication and the different type of flavor profiles. That is what calls to me. I may not be everybody's cup of tea, but, there may be things that you resonate with or can kind of see my perspective on. So flavor pairings are everything. So I mean, there's something for every palate. So if you like the taste of, you know, kielbasa or summer sausage, we can work something into that. But I mean, a lot of people think that I can do that. It's so easy, but really behind it, there's a lot of artistry and a lot of thought that goes into it. Like before I go into creating a grazing table, I've already thought about the space, how I'd like to set it up. And no two tables are alike. They may be similar depending on the space, but there's a lot of like pre-thought that goes into it. Sometimes I'm walking into it blind and I need to kind of like take a minute, evaluate the space, evaluate my surroundings, find out what works best in the space as far as what is the best flow of traffic for this table? What is the best angle for this table so that people can enjoy it yet still have that sense of community and still share their meal and be able to stand and talk and kind of communicate and socialize, right? Because eating is very social, especially when you're out with friends, right? So I think the misconception of, number one, it's for the rich or it's for the wealthy, it's too swanky, it's posh. Okay, no, incorrect. It is for everyone. And number two, that anyone can do it. And with Graze North, I really try to offer something a little more different than what your traditional charcuterie company would offer. My business, like I said, I'm Canadian, but I'm very much, I have very strong and deep Italian roots. So when I think of charcuterie, you know, when I think of antipasti, when I think of, you know, food on a table, I think of, you know, I also add things like panini and, you know, cold pasta salads and other antipasti that would, you know, accentuate whatever's already on the table, right? So that would pair well. And, you know, you change one aspect or one ingredient in a bite of food, you've changed the entire flavor profile, right? So, I mean, the possibilities are endless. And so, yeah, that was very long-winded.
Great answer though. And again, I just, as often as I can, I try to experience the guests' products and services. And I mean, we've had a few hundred guests on here. I can't experience all of them, but some of them I have. And well, when I've experienced something like yours, I have a great deal more passion behind, you know, reinforcing your points, because you're talking about it from your business point of view. And of course you have a bias. It's your business. You want your business to do well. Just like I have a bias about my marketing business. I think it's the best around. Some people may argue that, but when my customer can speak on behalf of me saying they did a fantastic job, I've experienced it for the last 3 years, that reinforces the point in a significant way to the listener. So I have experienced yours, and it was unlike anything I had seen. Whereas maybe a good chunk of the audience is like, yeah, charcuterie, put some prosciutto on a board, put some supersada on a board, put some cheese, some crackers, a glass of wine, you're good.
Yeah.
And if that's all you want, then fair. But if you want to be spoiled and blown away to the point where you don't want to eat it, you'd rather take pictures for a moment to capture this experience, which is exactly what we went through.
Yes.
You know, talk to Lina. It's fantastic. So I appreciate you clearing that up for us, because I can see those two myths being common, that you got to be super rich. I mean, you shared with me the cost of yours, but you were feeding 30 people.
Yes.
We brought 30 people. So, you know, I can imagine, just without you sharing the numbers with me, what it would be for 8 people. It would be, I imagine, significantly less.
Yeah.
So it does seem like a good range. Actually, when I thought about it afterwards, that seemed extremely affordable for 30 people.
Yeah.
I mean, that was, yeah. And it was fantastic, unlike anything I've seen. So
thank you.
Outside of business, Lina, we like to get onto the personal side of it too. So something a little playful to start. I asked this question about what puts a smile on somebody's face. What do you do for fun? And the vast majority of the business owners that come on here say, our business. My business is the thing that gives me so much joy in life. And I'm very thankful that so many people answer that way, because there's a much larger portion of people that do not like what they do every day. So I'm very grateful that we have so many, but there are other things in life than business. So I like to preface this question by saying, outside of your business, what puts a smile on your face, Lina? What do you do for fun?
That's a good one. That's a good question. I think, you know what? My little family and I, we have the vacation bug. So every chance that we get, we like to make a little getaway somewhere tropical, somewhere where you're not thinking too much about certain things. You're not thinking about what you're eating and what you got to do for work. You just kind of let loose and kind of let the water lead you, kind of type thing. And yeah, we make memories that way. But another thing I'm going to tell you, which probably is not so common, is I love being in my truck, windows down, music up, sunglasses on, drinking my cup holder. Okay. Usually, something from Starbucks or, whatnot. And my truck for me has become kind of like a safe place. Like I've done a lot of problem solving in my vehicle, things where I needed to get out of the house and I needed to just cruise and clear my brain and clear my head. I've done a lot of like deep thinking where, I couldn't work through a problem, where I get in the truck and I'm like, that's the answer. I've done, a lot of problem solving, put plans into motion. And so it's very therapeutic. So I would say, like, I love going for drives and for cruises. So sometimes even just getting lost and letting, the vehicle take you where you got to go.
That I'm so happy you shared that, because as I'm listening, the brain does things. I'm focusing, but then the brain starts cranking out ideas as well at the same time. And I'm thinking about places like that are uncommon for me. And first off, I love doing that too. Sunny day, sunglasses on, windows down. That perfect song came on and all of a sudden your whole mood has changed and you're just this is what life is about. For me, I'm big into fitness and doing things to help me physically. So steaming and cold plunging is a part of that. If you can get some good heat on you and you can get some good cold on you, there's some pretty good benefits, especially to the mind. So right over there, my little gym over there, beside that is a little steam that I do every morning. And I go in there for the first 15 minutes. I try to, they call it habit stacking, when you can do a couple of good habits at the same time. So like meditating while I steam rather than doing one and then the other taking up more time.
Yeah.
I do it at the same time. So 15 minutes goes by, I get my steam, I get my head right. And then I crank the cold water and I turn off the guided meditation and I put on my music playlist. If only people could see what I'm doing in that shower, like just moving my ass off. First off, the cold water, it's hard to stay still in it. But then that's that dance and that's that morning kind of joy. I like meditating. It makes me calm. I like the steam, although it is very, very hot and sometimes uncomfortable. When that cold water hits, it's like adrenaline straight to the veins, and the music is playing. And, that's my little joy for 5-6 minutes, similar to your car. You're the first person in over 200 episodes to say something like that. It's normally, we love nature, we love our pets, we love our kids, we love to eat, we love to travel. No one has brought up the joy you get from something so simple, like just being in your truck, wind in the hair, perfect song, got your drink. It's just like, it is a safe place.
Yeah.
That's very cool. And that makes me think of some of the things that I have in my life that are similar. Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah.
Any tropical places that you recommend?
Oh,
like what have been some of your favorites?
My favorite by a long, long mile is Jamaica.
Ooh, mine too, for tropical.
Yeah, Jamaica. And then a close second is Mexico. I do love Jamaica first and foremost. Last time I went was it was something else. Like, I mean, the people, the food, like authentic food. I mean, like just the character, the carefree kind of laid back island way. I mean, you think Jamaica, you think, like relax. We did a lot of like meditating down there, a lot of like freeing your mind type thing, and even traveling with children. It was like the best time ever.
Yeah, it is a fantastic place. What are you, a family of 4?
Family of 4. Yeah.
Awesome. I got to get back to Jamaica. So on to a harder question. I like to preface this. We are really interested in hearing about some of the challenges that some of our entrepreneurships have been through, simply because I feel like there's been this movement over the last 10 or 15 years, and there's actually a great deal of science to this movement now, which is great, because when we can take anecdotal evidence, opinion-based, experience-based, and then show hard data to show what it actually does to the body, it reinforces the conviction behind it, which is great. Like getting into a cold plunge, painful as shit, super, super hard.
Yeah.
If I don't have a really good reason to do this, no one's going to do it.
Right.
So now we know there are some good reasons for it. But I think much more importantly is our human experience will come with ups and downs.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. There will be some hardships, no matter what. Nobody's getting through this life unscathed.
Nope.
And I think a lot of us look at our hardships as negatives, as things we wish didn't happen. But from my experience in life, the things that I focus on and study, it seems to be the opposite. That through our hardships, the greatest advancement in quality of life for me has been the result. It's when I live too easy of a life. It's when things go too right for too long that I get complacent and kind of soften up a little bit.
For sure.
So we like to encourage people to embrace those challenges, maybe explore them a little bit more, see what actually resulted from it, rather than just going, this felt physically bad, so it must be bad. If that were true, no one would work out. The workouts that I do are physically very painful, yet they result in a massive net positive.
Yes.
And I think you could use that for a human experience as well. A death, a business failure, something like that feels bad. But over time, what was the net result of this? If you look back on it, it may be something incredible. So we like to ask the guests that come on the show, any hardships, life challenges you've been through, personal, business, or in combination, that probably sucked in the moment, probably did not feel very good. But when you look back and in hindsight, you wouldn't remove that ingredient that makes up the recipe that is you, because it's led you to enjoying the life that you live now.
Yeah, I think definitely. I've always said, if you're not learning, you're not growing. I mean, and sometimes really crappy experiences happen, but it all depends on you and what you take away from it that really defines how you're going to move forward. Like, I mean, if you're going to be the person who has that gray cloud over their head for every little thing that happens and everything is a negative, then I'm sorry, it's just going to continue. You're just going to perpetuate that kind of line of thinking. But if you literally take that silver lining from that cloud and use it to your advantage to mold you and say, you know what, I'm thankful this happened, because if it didn't happen, I would not be able to either understand the circumstance, I wouldn't be able to kind of like work through it or like be thankful for it, because if this would have happened, this wouldn't have happened, right? Like, and those cliche sayings of, when one door closes, another, a window opens, or those are completely true. Like, I mean, how many things are not meant for you that you're disappointed in the moment because, I really wanted this job, or, I really wanted this opportunity. It doesn't work out for you. And then, 5 months down the line, an even better opportunity, it comes your way. Like, I mean, we really have to take the positive out of things. And I think that starting a business takes a lot of courage. I think leaving the rat race and doing something for yourself takes a whole lot of courage. It takes courage to put yourself out there. You open yourself up to the possibility of rejection and failure. And as human beings, that's hard for us to process. Okay. Quite honestly, that's it. But, for me personally, sometimes it's hard for me to get out of my own head. Right. But I'm extremely lucky. I'm not going to say lucky. I'm extremely blessed that I have a really good support system behind me, between my husband and my girlfriends, who on the days where I thought, what the heck am I doing? Who wants to eat salami roses and sliced up cheese? They were the ones that were in my corner, and they were cheering and rooting for me the loudest. Right. And so because of them, I was able to say, like, Lina, get your shit together. Okay. Get out of your headspace and, fulfill your dream of working for yourself and making it work. And so, having the courage to move forward, leaving the rat race, not doing the 9-to-5 thing. Yeah, you're not working 9 to 5 anymore. You're working 24/7, but guess what? You get to do it your way, and you get to experience things in the way that you want to experience them. I don't know. It's businesses are hard, especially when you're kind of flying by the seat of your pants, right? You kind of have to navigate and you're going to make mistakes, but it's how you move forward and past those mistakes that really define you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's how you move forward and move past those mistakes that really define you. I think that's absolutely true. When things, I have my rules for life tattooed on my skin, right? And some people would be like, "That's a little extreme." It's like, or a little serious. I'm like, "Yeah, I take life seriously so that I can have a blast doing it."
Yeah. Yep.
But I barely look at these things when life is going well. I think it's
Right.
easy to perform well when life is going well. These
For
are
sure.
here for when that emotional turmoil bubbles up,
Yeah.
when life gets shitty, to remind myself of who I want to be, because it's really echoing what you just said. It's who are you when the chips are down? What do
Right.
you decide to do when things aren't going your way? And while you were sharing those experiences, I was thinking, I was an entrepreneur for the majority of my 20s. I think I capped out around like 70K a year as a personal trainer, which for my world was okay. But that was it. And I was trading time for dollars. If I wasn't training you, I wasn't getting paid, period.
Yeah.
So if I went away on vacation, that means my business stopped. So
Right.
I pigeonholed myself into, my mentor asked me, "Do you own your business, or does your business own you?"
Mm-hmm.
I said, "How do you tell?" And she says, "Can you go away for 2 weeks and have your business be sustained or ideally grow?" I said, "No." She's like, "Okay, so your business owns you. You're a slave to your business."
Yeah.
So I started putting out resumes, found myself as a sales rep employee for a plumbing business, something that could continue to grow while I was away. It was a cushy job. It was more money than uh, being an entrepreneur, but so much of it was out of my control. I was marching to somebody else's beat. The company was growing at a fast rate, too fast, decisions outside of my hand, to the point where they had to remove an entire division. So I had this cushy job, benefits, car allowance, all of these things. I thought, okay, I think I can make a decent living here, but it was like too comfortable. It
Yeah.
was, it only checked a few boxes, and that was really just certainty and comfort, which I learned for me they're just not ingredients. I need that uncertainty in my life. By entrepreneur, you are living in a world of uncertainty and you're figuring it out as you go.
Sure.
And what I thought was comfortable and security ended up losing my job. We like 30 of us got laid off. So
Oh.
that security that we think of in as an employee often isn't that true, because someone other than you can decide to flip a switch and now you no longer have that lifestyle. Whereas if I have developed the skills to build a business, I will never lose those skills. Even if a
That's right.
recession comes, a pandemic comes, I can rebuild, or I can position myself in a way to take that blow from the recession or the pandemic or whatever and still survive. So that is another level of security that I've changed my mind on a little bit. But I think that story is great, and I appreciate you sharing that with us. And I just think it's so true.
Yeah.
One opportunity, one door closes, another door opens, or another window opens up for you. It is true. Through that experience in that plumbing business as an employee, from getting laid off, it brought me to this world. And when I look at my life, that was 28. I'm now 37. So 10 years of doing this, every year just gets better.
Yeah.
I enjoy it more. Our business grows more. We connect with more people. No way I would be living this way back then. When I lost that job, it was a gut wrench, because I built this lifestyle based on that income, which is no longer there. So I'm like, what the F am I going to do now?
Right.
So it really seemed so shitty in the moment, like you said. But look at what's resulted from it. Something that
Yeah.
I never regret. I'm actually very thankful about that decision being made for me, because I was in a place that was not aligned with who I am.
Yeah.
And that's really what it came down to.
Yeah.
So
Well, look at that. You were living the Canadian dream and you still were not happy.
No.
Right.
No. It checked all the boxes that everybody else wanted. You can build a family there. You can pay your rent. You can plan into the future. You have benefits. You have vacation time. All the things that we think we wanted.
Yeah.
But at a moment's notice, it was all taken away from me without my say, which meant that security was a false flag. It's not really there. It's presented as security, but it's built on very shaky ground. Whereas now we've built a business for the last 10 years that is building a stronger and stronger and stronger foundation, that the only main obstacle is me.
Yeah.
I'm the only one that can shut this down. And that's either do I decide to work or decide not to. No one else can come in here and say, you're not working tomorrow.
Yeah, that's right.
And that to me is security.
Yep.
Being in control of your own future type of thing.
Yep.
So I resonate with you a lot, Lina, on that front. When it comes to your business, all the information that you know about food and the pleasure it brings and the artistry to it and the experience you provide for all of us, if you could just distill that down to one or two things that you would want our audience to know about Graze North Charcuterie, what would it be? What do you want their main takeaways to be about Graze North?
It doesn't have to be difficult. It doesn't have to be over processed, and you don't have to overthink it. We are here to work with our clients. Just know that when you do order, whether it be a box or a grazing table or a platter, you are getting a higher luxe level of food than just going to your local grocery store and picking something out of the fridge there. I really want the listeners to understand that it's all done with love and with passion, and that my business it's not just about throwing, salami and cheeses and bread in a box and here's my business, this is what I do. No, it really comes from a place of love. And like I mentioned before, that my love language really is food. So I will feed you. Let me feed you. And so it really is easy. It really can be easy.
Yeah. Well, you made it seem easy. I don't know what went into creating what you created, but boy, did that. We've done so many networking events now, and I'm not just saying this. I really try not to just say things and flatter people for no reason. I really try, if I say something, I really try to mean it so that people think of me as my words hold weight. Whereas I've certainly been the person before that would just say stuff. I try not to be that person anymore. So we've had many networking events, and the amount that it was elevated from you bringing in what you brought was significant. It was a significant elevation. It wasn't just a subtle elevation. It really was something. So anybody looking for some great grazing tables, some charcuterie for your businesses, for a party, just for a regular day, a date, small or large, please check Lina out. You will not be unsatisfied. I can tell you that. Firsthand experience. I'm pretty sure you will take pictures and videos of it first and put it all over your socials because you've never seen anything like it. I think what you do is great, Lina. And certainly I am the type of person that it's good people first, good business second. Yeah. I got a good experience of your business, but getting to know you at the networking event meant much more to me than the display that you brought. You were friendly, you were welcoming, you were warming, you cared about other people, which is one of the big litmus tests for who I align with. Do they care about others? And you certainly did that on the show today. So A, I want to say thank you for coming on the show and doing what you do. And B, I want to know, how can our audience get a hold of you? What's the best way to connect with you, Lina?
Well, thank you very much for saying all those really nice things. I appreciate it. So it's nice to know that my endeavors are being recognized. So I really am a people person. As anxious as I can be and as nervous as I can be, I really do love people. And I think business is all about customer service first, regardless of what you're selling. And so I've always been the type to, listen, you could send me an email at 1 o'clock in the morning, and if I'm awake, I am answering that email. I'm not a strictly 9 to 5 type of gal. It's not the way I've been. I feel like people are people. They're not just, faces behind a computer screen or email. And so people are important. And so that's the way I try to run my business as well. But reaching me is really easy. I have a fantastic website that has a ton of photos. It's got pricing on it. It goes into detail about what we offer, a bit of a backstory about me. My bio's in there. I'm very, and the website there is www.grazenorth.ca. I'm very active on social media, such as Instagram. That is our latest and like the latest things that we've done. So I try to update that as frequently as I can. And email is I'm pretty quick with email. So I'm pretty easily accessible. It's just hello@grazenorth.ca.
Beautiful. Well, Lina, again, big thank you to coming on the show. I really hope to see you at more of our networking events, and definitely dive into more of your grazing tables and charcuterie. It is just pleasure for the senses, but really getting to know you has been great. Thanks for coming on the show. It was a blast chatting with you.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it greatly.
Absolutely. Until next time, you have a great day.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast Midhurst. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnpmidhurst.com. That's gnpmidhurst.com or call 705-413-3775.